I'm well aware of how stylish the characters are in Dislyte. I played it a little bit a few years ago when it first launched, and even though the gameplay is a bit boring to me, the fashion obviously isn't. So let's go ahead and kick off this series, taking a closer look at that style. Like many games, Dislyte takes inspiration from mythological and historical figures in order to reimagine them in modern contemporary times, but it's in doing that easily sets this game apart and lends some of the most unique fashion designs I think I've seen across a number of different games in general. It just seems like the designers had so much fun taking these characters outside of the strict historical aesthetics and genres in which they originate from and giving them such new life with various genres of fashion, whether that's urban streetwear, vaporwave, cyberpunk, high fashion, couture, designer looks. Like, we get a full spectrum of inspiration to work with, which is why I think that these outfits are especially accessible, functional, relatable, even as far as how people dress and maybe aspire to dress in our current times, especially as far as these rare skins are concerned, which is what I'm going to start this series off with. I'm getting a strong Gen Z vibe, even though for rare skins, they can often be being among the most basic. I think that's what makes them so down to earth and easily replicated as far as maybe what people might want to do with their own outfits. Now, getting into these outfits, I am loosely ranking these from least favorite to most favorite, pretty much just based on my personal taste. I'm not going too crazy on the lore. Starting with Liao, a demonic dragon beast that represents gluttony and greed. And I mean, maybe outside of the obvious like structure and constitution of the character, we get a little bit of like a knife and fork motif in the belt buckle, which is just like a little bit of a fun nod. Much prefer the look with the white shirt, even though it moves to more of like holster kind of buckle or belt details instead of suspenders, which I much prefer suspenders, but it just looks more put together and a little bit more fresh, breaking up a lot of that red coming at us. Then we have Lauren, who's the frog-headed goddess of birth and fertility. I like that the headwear does kind of resemble a bit of a frog. That's fun. Clean, simple, coordinated. We're not really getting anything special here outside of maybe like a nurse uniform, but I like the extra pops of color with the orange, brown, and blue. Orange and brown really coordinating well with the blue as a nice complement. Very simple, kind of looks like a Splatoon character. Then we have Eros, and I'm not gonna front, I kind of wish Eros was a little bit more romantic, or maybe just a more mature looking character, being the son of Aphrodite. Super regular outfit. We've seen this before in a good way, because that just shows the strong parallel, but also to that extent maybe a little bit plain as well. Would have liked maybe a little bit more obvious red, but that could have made it cliche. I mean, it's cute, simple. Now Layla starts to get a bit more interesting. Literally just a deity character mentioned in the Book of the Dead, and it took me a second, but I think that like transparent element over her is like a body bag. That's what I'm kind of getting. And then the extensions from her are like those resuscitating, I don't know what they're called specifically. That's interesting to me. Very unique, such a curious blend between like a functional concept, a historical concept, and like regular modern fashion. Also kind of looks like a Splatoon character in a way. Chalmers is the god of rejuvenation, and even though this is very straightforward of a look, plain just based on like the really washed out color palette, I like that because of the accessibility that it lends and just how human and like adult it is. An interesting blend between like a unique modern lab coat design with a regular sporty relaxed streetwear style. Then we have Jeanne, and I like this simple, cool, punky rock and roll look. It's not too radical and over the top. It's easily put together. I do prefer the China Sprite because that black undershirt just gives it a little extra elevation and mood and attitude. And I just think that the black undershirt also pops really well against the pink hair color. But either way, like, love the pants and the tail with it. Then we have Freddy, a wolf creature, and to be honest, kind of reminds me of that one ZZZ character. It's pretty much almost the same outfit framework. This is just more bad boy, borderline biker instead of a butler oriented style. And I think that the dark wolf alternative skin is just one notch up. So the default is a much more simple, everyday accessible look. This one just elevates into something more imaginative, high-end alternative fashion. Those belt and buckle elements pop, and I like that the boots have more texture and are a slightly different color. Next we have Tong Yun, who is like a rival monkey character to Sun Wukong. I mean, it's a pretty clear emo look. Love the zipper elements, especially like how it zips up from the bottom. I love when clothing garments do that. When we get into the flowing jade alternative skin, absolutely. It's so much more interesting, and there's so much more different texture, detail, decoration, and dimension going on here. Extra zipper elements, almost kind of reminding me of a Tetsuya Nomura design. Just so much more interesting, and I like the lighter kind of colors really help it pop and not look as flat as maybe a little bit of the default did. Then we have Uni Chai, and the god of marriage and unity, bring couples together through silken cord, as we can kind of see through that clear motif in there. Much prefer the China Sprite with the shirt, similar to the first character. Love some body confidence, but I just really feel like the red pops and really helps make the outfit just look so much more suave, so much more chic. The Free Fate skin is definitely much more culturally, traditionally driven. Something that I feel like we've seen plenty of times. So not really blown away, almost kind of reminds me of Homeboy from Dragon Ball Z a little bit. Then we have Bardon, who's the god of light, sun, purity, joy, and we're definitely getting a bright, inviting look, which with some darker details in there to really contrast that. Love the belt work and the suspenders, just with a nice little pop of color to contrast more of the golden elements within the design. Really don't have to do too much. Kind of would have liked if there's at least a golden necklace of some sort, but overall the framework is really doing it with love a high-waisted crop jacket moment. So getting a lot of bias points, even with how simple it is. Then we have Leon, God of Vengeance, and overall, like, I feel like a framework we've seen plenty of times, but I love the small details like the cuffed pants and even the style of the shoe. It just feels a little bit more sophisticated and something that really leans into regular everyday men's fashion. Even with the cloak involved, it just further kind of plays up a little bit of the fantasy, but doesn't take away from the formal elements that we're really getting in the overall design. Then we have Bai, and I'm not even gonna say the last name, so I can already hear the pronunciation police coming through, but love this look. Like, this is where we really kind of break into the threshold of that strong, current, contemporary, modern fashion twist. I feel like I've seen plenty of girlies dressed in styles just like this all across like TikTok and the internet. I mean, it's so Gen Z. Like, I just really feel like this one's especially Gen Z, but in such a good layered, accessorized way. Then we have Hall, a god associated with night and darkness, and love a body confident moment, and they are so great in Dislyte with using the accessories to fill in that space so far. I've said this many times, like, just use some accessories to fill in some of all that skin and chest coming at us. Loving the belt work, loving the thigh-high boots. Like, give us more men in thigh-high boots. But I honestly prefer the China Sprite once again. Like, it's that crop top that is such a serve to me. I love the buckle straps that attach to the pants for a little bit of semi-suspender moment. Love when a crop top does that. And there's even just a bit more of like a glove on one arm, just to really give stronger coordination overall. Then we have Brynn for a Valkyrie character. I mean, love it. It's just so well put together. Great use of those fishnet stockings to fill in the space, and I love that they're just not black. They're blue for just a little extra punch of color. Makes it so much more interesting. The China Sprite didn't have them, and I much prefer it with the fishnets, and even a little bit more of a confident bralette situation going on, because the jacket is doing just enough to kind of cover up the space. We have a long statement chain. Love Zelmer's design. And this is, yeah, just like a lioness, goddess of war and healing, but more so we're getting the war vibe in this design. Definitely prefer the like, China just tends to cover things up. Like it's hit or miss where it happens. This, I like the leg confidence, and I like more of the tattoo elements coming through. And I feel like the boots would be an interesting, like, conceptual runway design that I could see someone playing with. Like, I could maybe see a Balmain playing with this. This seems maybe almost Rick Owens-esque. David is full K-pop boy fantasy, absolutely. Such a clean, cool look. Loving the jacket off the shoulders. It just feels so effortlessly cool, guys, so nonchalant. Like, we get the color pop in the shoes, and the jacket is just doing so much work here. Like, it's giving him presence, giving him silhouette, giving him shape and form and dimension and texture. Clean accessories for like even a turtleneck moment. Belle, I'm obsessed with it. Shang Pu, a master of the medical herbs. We can obviously see this coming through. Really loving the shape to it and the transparent sheer like nature of the dress. I like that it's a visor. It kind of almost replicates a little bit of a bonnet, but the visor makes it feel more edgy instead of just like complete coquette or Lolita kind of style. So it's a little bit more modern streetwear mixed with that. The lilac twist, talk about a twist. Like, it's even further expanding upon something that's a little bit more cute cottagecore-ish, ethereal, magical, with something that's more trendy, streetwear, urban. Like, we're getting more of a hoodie going on. It's just blending so many great elements together. And I love, obviously, purple, but even just the flower motifs on more of like an apron to kind of sell through the function that the character occupies. Yes, Shuhua, goddess of birth and controller of human fate. Cute, simple, loving the puffier sheer sleeve. It's giving that body confidence, but it still feels sophisticated and classy. And I think that that's a really good balance between those elements. The yellow and the purple perfectly complementary and pop well against each other, and just loving the shape. And I think that the kind of more ruffled, expanded elements at the bell of the dress really kind of enhances that or further reinforces that. The astral really comes through in the 9 star songs. Like, love this one. Still same framework, personal style is consistent, but I just really love how it goes from the dark top to the lighter bottom. Really preferring the socks and the shoes in this case too. Just a little bit more tight and covered and put together, but still a little confident with some leg. Berenice is so chic. It's a little bit flat, but honestly, I don't mind it just because the framework is absolutely sharp. Loving her heels and just with that crop. And she has enough of that kind of bright neon color in her fur and hair elements just to really allow the outfit to kind of serve as the simple slay that it is. There's just some characters that don't have to go out of their way to do too much. The alternative skin, the solstice, I mean, so elevated. Like, so much more playful, colorful, and so much more personality to it. Loving a little bit more of the kind of knit texture to the top. We have more gold mixed within, but still, I love how they keep the same framework, but play enough with some additional layers or different orientation of existing components just to really make it feel brand new. Now, Helena, I was very pleased with her default design. Like, she could easily pass as an epic style character. Much prefer the China sprite, and I couldn't wait to break this down because, I mean, I've always said how I think like the bodysuit panty situation can feel a little bit lazy, but the China sprite has like a nice tighter golden bodysuit element that has at least some short component to it, or maybe it's just like a bodycon dress. Like, it's so much more sophisticated and classy, especially for the character like her. I was very impressed with that subtle differentiation. Now, Melanie, or the Medusa character, was one who immediately stood out to me when this game first launched, and I was like, I was already impressed with how they reimagined and transformed these historical figures. Love her look, just with all those kind of garter and belt buckle details, even though it's like, I want to say it's like a high-waisted, super short situation. At least we're getting those garter details to really help cover some of that up. The China sprite obviously is more conservative, but I do really love the pants in this case. Just really loving that kind of like almost metallic, shiny, greenish element kind of carried through just to help break up the pants enough and not make them too flat. But yeah, like overall, she gets some exception for the panty wear. And especially just with like, there's just enough going on here with the belt and buckles. But the pink beauty skin, absolutely. We're still getting some sheer components throughout the whole bodysuit, but I mean, like, this is a little bit of that kind of like sexier, alluring element with plenty of the coverage. Loving the flared bodysuit, still complementary to the silhouette. Like, it just looks so much more luxurious, easily, effortlessly chic, and especially just with the gold accessory detail going on with the bangles and the neckwear, like, killing it. And then Anubis, of course, is giving a bit of that kind of like butler energy. Love the twist on the tailcoat, and even just with like the mummy wrap elements kind of mixed in there. Such a unique blend, and I definitely obviously remember him as like a main character standing out on launch. Loving just like it's simple. We've seen this framework, but it's just reimagined in a clean, sophisticated way. But the White Reaper look, like, now we're doing something excellent here. And you already know from the Genshin stuff, if you've been watching that, how I feel about these sophisticated male outfits that are suit oriented, and that is exactly what this is giving us. But we're just getting so much more gold detail, textures, fragments, everything, panels, like so many different components mixed together. That just makes this so much more interesting and easily could pass as like more of like a legendary territory design. And those are my thoughts on the rare character designs. It obviously only gets better from here when we leap into the epic and the legendary. Cannot wait. As always, let me know what you think about some of these designs so far. But until the next video, I'll talk to you later.